Reshma, ma'am?
Yeah, Divya, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
Okay, ഞാൻ റെക്കോർഡിംഗ് തുടങ്ങട്ടെ ഒരു മിനിറ്റ്.
Radhika, ma'am, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Radhika, ma'am, കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ പറയുന്നത്? Ma'am, mute ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല. It's unmuted.
One second. Are we good right now?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
You're audible.
So, can we start the session or?
No, ma'am. We'll have an introduction. After that, we'll start.
Sure.
Yes. Reshma, ma'am, can I start?
Divya, you can start.
Yeah.
Good morning, all. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Wherever you are, be there totally. Heartily welcome to all the distinguished participants to the 4th day of the 5-day online International FDP on Education Soft Skills, organized by the Basic Science and Humanities Department, SEMS School of Engineering and Technology. I request all the participants to kindly switch off your video and audio muted. I welcome Ms. Reshma M., Assistant Professor, Basic Science and Humanities Department, to give an insight about the topic and introduce Radhika ma'am to the gathering. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Divya. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah.
Thank you, Divya. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. Mindfulness is a way of befriending ourselves and our experience. The mind is just like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets and the more it can expand. Our life is shaped by our mind, for we become what we think. When you talk, you are repeating what you already know, but if you listen, you may learn something new. The only way to live in is by accepting each minute as an unrepeated miracle. Mindfulness helps you to be where you are when you are there. Within no time, let's begin our session on mindfulness. It's my great personal privilege to invite the eminent speaker for the day, Ms. Radhika Ratnam L., radio broadcaster, Radio Mango, Malayalam Manorama, a prolific speaker whose creative talents exemplify her profile. Ma'am's career started as a journalist in the reputed dailies, Deccan Chronicle and Times of India. Her creative talents got exhibited as content writer for branding and advertisements. A technical content writer for IBS, has also showcased her talents in script writing for the famous Malayalam movie Bhiman Devadi. Ma'am, a creative venture begins from childhood onwards. A prolific poet who has penned down nature, human life into her creative space. Now, ma'am is leading the team at Radio Mango as a program producer. We are really honored to invite you, ma'am, for this enriching session. And I, on behalf of SCMS School of Engineering, Department of Basic Science and Humanities Department, welcome you, ma'am, for this session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Reshma. That was so kind of you. First of all, good morning. It is a lovely morning and made more beautiful with all your smiling faces and your kind words. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, like I said, it's a beautiful morning, and both of your kind words has made it a little more, sweeter for me this morning. So if you ask me, I honestly do not know how fit I am a person to talk about this, a topic on mindfulness. But I've been lucky enough to spend some years with the stalwarts in my industry, in my media industry. And it's like I'll be more than happy to share what I have gathered from them during the times when we crossed paths in our career. So, like she said, my career path is completely unconventional. So, more than going to what you can already get on Google. So, if you type mindfulness, you get everything, the techniques, the process, everything in Google. So, today I would like to take you through mindfulness through some real life experiences, personal stories. I think that's interesting. So, I would like to introduce myself first. So, I actually used to start writing from the age of 15. And I did my bachelor's and master's in literature. So I've always been a literature student. But if you know how I landed in my first career, first job, sorry, mindfulness had played a very, very important role in that. So imagine this, the city of Trivandrum, okay? A very normal, ordinary evening, sunset time. The evening shadows are, casting long on the city footpaths and the roads. So I'm taking a stroll with one of my classmates in the evening, and suddenly, we caught sight of this painting project happening on the city walls. And we couldn't stop, but we were asking each other what is happening there. So if I could define myself or introduce myself, I would call myself a philocalist, a writer, and a radio broadcaster, in that order. you know One thing led to another, I can say. A philocalist is a person who basically sees a beauty or love in everything around. So I've always admired this thing about me. I like to see one positive, one beautiful thing about everything that comes in front of me. So that is the ultimate quality a writer. I realized that, like they say, beggars can't be choosers. Writers also cannot be choosers, because you cannot choose what you want to write if you're doing it as a profession. And I really didn't want to do that. And hence I became a radio broadcaster because I was always interested in content. So coming back to the story, this evening when I was taking the stroll with a friend and we caught sight of this painting, what happened is we stood there and we were enjoying the painting. Suddenly, a young guy walked towards us. He had this appearance of an artist, the tag of an artist all around him. Shabby clothes, long hair, and dry paint and dust on his shirt. So he came and asked me, "See, what are you guys doing here?" Then I said, "We are enjoying the painting and we would like to, be part of this." The next day morning, 6 a.m. in the morning, sunrise, I was there with the team to be part of the team to paint on the city walls. I still have the painting in one of, like, I still have that part where I painted on the city walls of Trivandrum. During the process, there was this couple who actually owned a startup ad firm. They were also into this project and they were doing a wall just next to mine. The what do you say? The moral of the story is that one evening, that one moment which I took to be mindful, to be a philocalist and look around and enjoy the beauty. That moment actually helped me land on my first job. So these guys, the couple who were painting next to me, had a what do you say, a startup ad firm, and they actually invited me to be their content writer, a junior content writer. So that was the start of my what do you say career. The next job also, if you ask me, it was again the result of the philocalist in me, the mindfulness that actually landed me with Times of India. So during my days at the press club, I was a student, and as usual, I was taking my evening stroll. And you know, the thing with the Times of India, it's very big and bold. The white letters on the red bold billboard. So I was walking and I was thinking to myself, see, I am a print journalism student and I have no idea about how this works. So a moment I thought, I reflected, and I thought maybe I should learn about how this works, you know, in real life, or not just how I know about it in the textbooks. I wanted to know how it works. So I gathered the courage and I walked inside the Times of India Bureau in Trivandrum. And there was this gem of a person, B. Srijan. He was a bureau chief of Time back then. So I asked him, Sir, I'm a student there. So I would like to, I never asked him for a job. I never asked him for a job. I asked him, Sir, I would like to know how this works, how a newspaper works. How do we give stories? How does it get printed? And how this entire industry works. The next morning, I joined as an intern with the Times of India while I was still a student at the press club. And 1 month later, I was actually offered a job with the Times of India, and I continued there for like 2 years or so. Again, the next job with Deccan Chronicle, if you ask me, was another, what do you say, another instance of mindful thinking. Because once I was in Bangalore. To give a context, I was brought in a very I was a very pampered girl always, and like they say in matrimony sites, the aristocratic family, traditional Orthodox family, the pampered person. I have never been to any other city on my own other than Trivandrum back then. A person of my context landing in a place like Bangalore with zero friends, zero contacts, no, absolutely no idea about language or places or anything. And I was doing the job of a reporter. Imagine that. But you know, mindfulness has a way of giving a push to everything you do in life. So again in Bangalore, 2 weeks into my job, I saw my name on the first page of Bengaluru Chronicle. And I'm very happy and proud to say, like, in 2 weeks, I was able to write page one stories just because, just because on one of these days, I was passing by the famous Empire Hotel in Bangalore. And, there are all guys and girls, after party fun and all of that. And then I was watching out, there is this one familiar face from my college days. And then I knew this person back from college. And that that small moment where I noticed this guy, that moment had helped me know Bangalore better, know the language, know the places. So summing up these three instances of my three jobs, I would say, see, all of us are always in a rat race, working, climbing up the corporate ladder, and getting our checklist done, and getting our what do you say, the monthly targets achieved. But it's equally important, or it is more important, to take at least 5 minutes of your day for your own, just to walk, or just to spend time alone, or, you know, just breathe. My point is, knowingly or unknowingly, it was the 5-10 minutes I took for myself to go for a walk or to simply spend time for myself. Those 5 minutes, 10 minutes in a day had landed me into my first job, my second job, and my third job. Again again going towards my career with Malayalam film Bhimende Vadi, I had actually been assisting Chemban Vinod, actor Chemban Vinod, with the script. And also, I've been working in a firm in Kochi as a content writer. So, in both these cases, mindfulness is not just about spending time for yourself or observing. Mindfulness is also understanding what does not work for you. See, only if you spend time for yourself, you can reflect and re-introspect and understand, see, this is not meant for me. I had only very brief stint with the script writing and the content writing jobs with the ad firm, which is because I had spent quality time with myself to realize that this is not my cup of tea. See, we know people, many people around us who spent like 10, 15 years of their life doing a job or pursuing a career. At the age of 40, 50, or 60, they realize that, see, this is not what I wanted to do. My passion lied somewhere else. I didn't want that to happen to me. And what do you say? That enlightenment happened to me only because the time I took to spend for myself, it is like an investment. 5 minutes you spend for yourself today is like an investment you have for a lifetime. So, coming back to the career stories, right now, I work as a producer with Radio Mango, which is Manorama's radio partner, Manorama's radio firm is Radio Mango. So, if you ask me, mindfulness is the key factor of my job 24/7, 365 days. But that is a subject that I would like to go in detail. So before that, I think I should actually take you to some of the basic things. Like I said, today morning, I sent the link to the session to my sister. And the first thing my sister asked me, like, do you think it's a bit ironic that you're talking about mindfulness? So I do not say that I am the perfect fit for giving you a talk on this what do you say topic, but I assure you, I have I have met some of the most beautiful souls, stalwarts, and what do you say? Some people, when you meet them, you can't just describe them anything but gem of a person. So I would like to share some of those insights I have gathered from these people that I was very lucky and very blessed to share my career paths with. So to start with, I would like to talk about the mindfulness that I have learned from my stint with the Times of India. As I mentioned earlier, it was Beast Region, the bureau chief, who gave me my early lessons on understanding this term. Because of all the people I've met so far, he is like a walking book on like mindfulness in a physical form. If it's not too much to say, because for a newspaper job, the 5 o'clock, 5:30 time to 7 o'clock is like, what do you say, an ICU ward. When going to an ICU ward when an accident happens, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. It's a big mess, a rush, and people are, I don't know, running around and filing stories and canceling stories, adding new things, and cross checking. Excuse me. So, in my career, when I started my journey with Times, what happened is, as a young journalist, I used to be, he used to send me to places to for press conferences or some events are happening. So I had to go there and figure out what we can, write about the place or the person or what have I observed. There had been days when you know, one second, Shivaranjani and okay. There had been instances where I came back at 6 p.m., which is a peak time for a newspaper newsroom. And I told him, sir, as a young, naive journalist, sir, I couldn't find anything, or I reached there 5 minutes late. So I don't have anything to give you today. At that point, this man would be dealing with the front page of the newspaper, the city pages, 10 to 15 stories to, cross check and edit. He would just take a pause. He would just look at me, think for a moment, and say, okay, I'll just send you something, you work on it and send it to me. That, that sort of peaceful, calm reflection to a problem, to a situation, is what mindfulness is about. See, most of the time, see, the importance of mindfulness in our life lies where most of the time when something happens, when something wrong happens, or when you are in a crisis, you keep on, playing it in your head again and again, thinking, why is this happening? Or, okay, I am in this mess and something is wrong. And like a loop, like loop songs in the phone, like a loop, it starts playing in your head again and again and again. What mindfulness does is, when you master the art of mindfulness, they act like two security guards. Think of your mind as a store or a building. Okay. So I've been getting requests in between, so I'm admitting all of them. Okay. Yeah. So think of your mind as a department store or a building. Mastering the art of mindfulness is like keeping two security guards in front of the store, so that you decide what to allow, who to allow to enter. So if you have these negative thoughts, or degrading thoughts, these security guards are, intelligent enough to say, like, get out. You have no room here. So that is the importance of mindfulness. In my career, at times, the most important factor, the best lesson I learned as a print journalist was that it's not important what you decide to give as a news for the next day's paper. It's important what you decide not to give. Like, there will be politically incorrect, news pieces. There will be religious intolerance in some of the things that we see, or there will be, simply wrong things that you do not have to put it in newspaper tomorrow. So understanding and learning what not to do was the biggest lesson I learned from times. So that was one major leap that I took at times when I was a journalist there. Now, moving on to my next job at Deccan Chronicle. Like I said, a very naive girl with absolutely no clue about the place or language. The lesson, or the good thing that I learned was mindfulness was absolutely not about worrying. Even there, the Deccan Chronicle, I was working as an entertainment reporter. It is every single day when you start your work, you have absolutely no clue about what you're going to write for the newspaper the next day. You have to find an article to write about, a news topic to write about, in a state where you have no contacts and absolutely no idea about what's going around. There, in instances like that, when those things happen in life, I learned that the most important key ingredient in any job is to reflect and be calm and analyze, and the solution actually flows in, like a river. you know there is this saying or a story that I have somebody someday have told me. Once mindfulness actually gets you flow through your life as easy as a river flows. You can flow through day after day, even though problems and issues and crisis happens, like people throwing stones into the river doesn't bother, the river just flows. The river has absolutely no issue. Whoever throws whatever into it, the river just continues to flow. Learning or mastering the art of mindfulness is, you know to be able to live like a river, flowing swiftly, smoothly, no matter what happens, no matter what people are throwing at you, no matter what the season is. So that's one thing. And like I said in the beginning, I would actually like to go to the uh, radio industry a bit later, because that is something. I mean, of all my professions or career decisions that I've taken, mindfulness or mastering the art of mindfulness has actually helped me the most in my current job. So that needs a little bit of detailing, and before I go to that, I would like to just take you through the basics. Like I said before, my sister was asking me, are you really the right person to talk about this? No, I might not be, but you know there are, I'm not sure if I should say I practice mindfulness daily, or I spend I spent time to know more about it. No, but I have actually had this interesting conversations and experiences with people who have actually mastered this art with so much of grace. So from them, from the conversations, from the experiences I've had, for me, I think that mindfulness or practicing the art, thoughts, your mind is like imagine it like a pipe or a tunnel. Thoughts are like water, or anything for that matter. It's just passing through the tunnel, no matter what, and you can't help it. You can't help it. See, imagine a very handsome guy. Okay, imagine you're a girl and a very handsome guy comes to you and say like, "You're looking so pretty today." Thoughts pop up, and you can't stop but thinking, okay, why is the guy telling you this right now? So is he falling for me? Thoughts will not, you know, you get it. Trust me, thoughts will not stop until until there is something bigger or problematic happens. You'll keep on thinking about it. So you can't help it, but like water or some other substance flowing through a pipe, thoughts continuously flow through your mind. So imagine that mind as a space where thoughts just come in and go. There is no fixed, you know, there is no fixed chair for any thought in your mind, as long as you do not allow it to. And the perfect way to master it, if you ask me, is like learning to recycle it. When you go back home after work, the kitchen is messy or the bed is messy. You have to clean it. You have to throw away the plastics and all of those things. And for us, for being a Malayali, I know that we have mastered the art of recycling like no one else. Because you know imagine you buy a bottle of uh, some carbonated aerated drink. Okay, you drink the drink, and sorry, you drink it, and then you use it to carry water to your office space. And after many months, you use it as a pot for your what do you say, balcony. So that's how good Malayalis are. And if you ask me, our mothers, your parents are the best examples. They don't see, for instance, my mother never she hates to throw away anything. She likes to keep it. She says that maybe we can use it in future. I've heard that from many mothers of my friends. So recycling is an art we have mastered as Malayalis, but recycling our thoughts, have we mastered that? So mindfulness is basically about recycling the thoughts, putting it to the best use, throwing away what you don't need, and transforming it to something that will benefit you. And I can I can actually help you understand mindfulness in just, you just have to remember three things if you want to go to the basics of mindfulness. Like if you're hearing this word for the first time from me, I would like you to, at any point, at no matter where you are, you just have to ask yourself these three questions. See, before I go to the questions, there is this thing. I should have said this in the beginning itself. When I wanted to, learn about, or when I wanted to study more about mindfulness, what I understood is that the best things, the most important things in life, none of them have, price tags. None of them comes with tag. Like for instance, your parents, your father, your mother, love, uh, learning, things like mindfulness and, trust, care, all these qualities, none of them comes with a price tag. You can never buy any of these things with money. Money does not play a role in actually earning the most valuable things that you need to live a prosperous life. That was the most enlightening thing that I had understood in my process of learning about mindfulness. But the irony is that mindfulness is a very, very costly, very important, valuable factor that you need to, own in your life, but it costs you nothing. And if you ask me what you have to do to earn it, like, do you have to spend money? Do you have to do a physical activity? Do you have to, write down something, watch something? Nothing. You don't even have to read a book to know about mindfulness. You have to do nothing. Nothing. Nothing is the word that is what you have to master. See, we all say, like, I want to take a break just to do nothing. I want to, sit simply, not doing anything. But is there a time where you honestly not do anything? Like, is there a time where you sit simply? No. When you say you're going to take a break, you're either, going through your WhatsApp status, or, scribbling on a paper, or watching TV news. But there is no time where you're doing nothing. If you learn to master the art of doing nothing, ta-da, you have mastered mindfulness. When you are in a situation where you need to uh, overcome whatever you're going through, you just have to ask yourself three simple questions. One is, what is going through my mind right now? Okay, what is going through my mind right now? Second is, what are the sensations that I'm feeling in my body right now? And the third is, what are the emotional reactions that I am, and the impulses that I'm aware of? See, um, mindfulness, to master mindfulness, there are like a lot of breathing techniques and, practices that we can easily Google and get in net. So I didn't want to take you through all of those processes. Excuse me. I didn't want to take you through all these processes because it is very easily available in YouTube and in Google with just a click. But at the same time, I would like to make you aware about the fact that the breath that you take in, which is the most inexpensive thing that you can get, is the most expensive quality that you need to develop, because breathing is everything. Have you ever, thought about this? When you're crying or when you're very angry, the breath is very swift and shallow and fast, right? This is a vicious circle, very vicious circles, because when when you do incorrect breathing, like when you have an anxiety, when you have stress, or somebody is shouting at you, and or when you are depressed, what happens is that momentary stress actually causes your body to tense, and you begin to breathe very fast and shallow and everything. When you breathe shallow, what happens is inside your body the oxygen level actually lowers, and when the oxygen level lowers, the brain actually sense it that you have a stress, and then it's like a cycle, it's like a bad vicious cycle. But you can actually turn it to your advantage. Do you know how? Breathing slowly, taking in and breathing out very slowly. It's like you turn the process outward. When you take in the breath, when you are actually going through a bad bad situation or a bad incident, you can just sense it, breathe, inhale and exhale very slowly for 5 or 10 times. You know what happens then? This actually takes in more oxygen, and by taking in more oxygen, it gives the signals to your brain and the sensory organs that you are actually in tranquil and calm. So the vicious cycle turns into a virtuous cycle. And this is, I could say, by far, when I learned about this as a media person, I have to actually go through a lot of uh, situations, a lot of stressful moments every single day. But mastering this, I take 5 minutes off, I take this technique, and I feel fine. So trust me when I say this gentle rising and falling of breath can actually work wonders. And I'm not even joking, because it's been like 38 minutes right now. Last night I was too sick to even prepare or look for any of these content to talk to you. I just practiced mindfulness like my elders or my gurus have taught me, and I just went to sleep. If you think that I was able to talk to you positively and successfully so far, the reason is that I actually spent 5 minutes yesterday and just 10 minutes today morning to actually sit, reflect, and reintrospect about this event today. So, that much I can assure you is the end product of mindfulness. I mean, practicing mindfulness on a daily basis. So, I before going to actually the next, um, radio specific incidents that I've had related to mindful thinking, I would also actually like to. I mean, I would love to share with you a small technique which actually works in all situations where you think that you cannot uh, manage on your own. See, when you when you face a very unpleasant situation, and you think that you cannot actually have no clue what to do about it, you lie down on the floor, not on the bed, on the floor, put a little cushion or pillow, anything on your head, and put your hands on the stomach. Okay. And just observe your breath. So the rise and fall of the stomach, like this, when you breathe in and breathe out, uh, there is a mosquito here. No, there is the rise and fall of the stomach with the hands on your stomach. Do that for 5-10 minutes, lying on the plain ground with the pillow on your back. And after 10 minutes, I assure you that you will see yourself in a very, very better place. So this is one practice I do when I feel like, okay, I need to just calm down and I need a, break for myself. Another point that I would actually like to share with you is that, see, like I said, the breath, your breath is the greatest asset you have. So use it to your maximum, possibility. But by saying that, I do not mean that you have to sit in a chair with your legs folded and do yoga or do meditation. Meditation simply, you can meditate by even doing your, you can meditate by, job, you can meditate. You can meditate while you're walking. You just have to be very, what do you say, self uh, observant. You need to be observing about yourself, about the sounds around you, about your own breath. So once you spend even 5 or 10 minutes observing, simply by observing, what am I feeling right now? The breath that I take in, the path the air takes, the sounds around me, the the sights, the visuals around me. That is meditation. You need not actually sit with a white color pajama on your bed or on a chair to do meditation or mindfulness. And before I go to the radio industry, there is another um, key factor about mindfulness. Mindfulness actually is about acceptance. You learn to accept things as it is. You can be assured that you are actually learning to be mindful when you start, accepting things and, understanding it is as it is. It is what it is. Sorry. And you can't do anything about it, but you can be mindful about it and you can decide what is best for you at that point. So I would like to share a very interesting short story that happened 2 weeks back. My parents came visiting me and we were rushing to the railway station to drop. I was rushing to the railway station to drop them off. My father was driving. So we have just 15 minutes to for the train to leave the station. So there was on the way there was this guy who crossed the road in a very very, what do I say, in a very funny way. It could have actually been a very bad incident, but luckily my father was careful enough, so nothing wrong happened. So my father was honking very, very angrily. He was honking, and in that situation, there is an air of frustration and anger inside the car. It's because we are in a rush. There is a guy who just jumped in front of our car and he is honking. So me 5 years back would have got very angry and frustrated, saying like, why do you have to honk? What is wrong with this person? Okay. Me 3 years back would have, what would have I done if I think about it? Maybe I would have, tried to communicate to my father the point that, see, is there any point honking? He wouldn't even mind. He wouldn't even, notice it. Why should we spoil our peace of mind? You know what I did 2 weeks back? So I accepted the situation as it is. I know that my parents are going to leave soon. There is just 15 minutes more. I don't want to, continue the air of frustration and panic. That is acceptance of things as it is. But I was also mindful. So I knew that the right thing to do was make the moment a little lighter. So I asked him, why did you honk? So my father said, no, he should learn a lesson. He should never cross the road in such a way. So I said, okay, I'm glad that you have a very big heart, because you just have 15 minutes for your train to leave, but you took 2 minutes out of the 15 minutes to teach a good lesson to a total stranger. such goodness. And we all burst out into laughter. So that is what mindfulness is about. You know that some situations or some things cannot be changed. You accept it as it is, and you try to be mindful about what you can do about it. So acceptance is another key factor. So we have actually gone through real life experiences of how mindfulness works and have worked for me personally in my career so far, and how to actually breathe yourself happier, if you ask me, because it how it enhances your mental flexibility, if you ask me, and some it's like an umbrella term which I've actually tried to bring in some experience and all of that. But since we're running short of time, I think that more than talking to you about the practices inside teachers, I mean, classroom and students and all of that, I think it's more important if I can share my experience as a radio producer or a broadcaster about how this has played to be a key aspect in my profession so far. So, as a producer, my job is to design my show. As in, every day when you tune into my frequency, 91.9 Radio Mango, the things that you hear is carefully crafted and designed by the producer and the RJ. We decide what we should talk, how we should talk about it, and when we should talk about it. Okay, if you hear about an RJ talking about the scorching sun and the hot climate, and maybe drinking some light lemonade at 10 o'clock, it wouldn't fit, right? So you have to decide what to speak, when to speak, and how to put it. So that is my primary job. But I mean, the most interesting factor about it is that it is not the only job. So the songs you hear, the advertisement you hear, the scheduling of all of it, plus the there'll be campaigns, there'll be segments, and spontaneous things happen every minute, like every minute. Maybe an event will be happening in the city, or maybe there will be a sports update, or maybe a new film released on that day. So it's like, as long as from the point when the show starts to the point when the show stops, every single minute, as a producer, you have to be mindful about what you're going to speak next, what you're going to give to our listener. But see, I'll give you an example. Two instances when we were all set for the show, and the show is actually, we are going forward as planned, and suddenly Sugata Kumari teacher's demise was one incident, and Neeraj Chopra getting the Olympics thing was another event. These things happen all of a sudden. You see the news and you know that you have to say it out in the radio. So the exciting, yes, challenging part is that you already know the news. How can you say it in a radio? You don't want to tune into a radio and hear the same thing that you saw in a news channel. So how can you put it in a interesting, captivating way? That needs mindfulness like nothing else. So that is one example. But I would actually like to share a very heart-touching, heartwarming incident that happened in my show like 2 years back. So obviously everyone would be busy for team lunches. So we were discussing about our childhood days when all of us have had this time when our parents used to feed us, the mornings when you go to before you go to the school, it's a big rush. The school bus will be there in 5 minutes, and your bag is yet to be finalized with all the books and everything, and your mom comes behind you trying to have this one more spoon sort of mornings we all must have had. So we were just discussing about the lunchtime and how during our childhood days, we used to be, fed by our parents. And as we grow up, we actually um, we actually lose that habit. We do not feed people, or people don't, you're grown up like a like you're grown up. So why should I feed you kind of attitude comes. So we were discussing about it, and then it was just a mention, a thought, and somebody called us back. It was a sailor. He was a merchant navy professional. So he called me back. I mean, he called to the station and said, "Hi, I was listening to your show, and today evening I have a flight, and I'm going for sail, and I would be back only after maybe 6 or 8 months. Suddenly, listening to your words, your show, I realized that I'm not going to see my mother for another 6 to 8 months." I suddenly felt, I went to her and I asked her, "Amma, എനിക്ക് ഒരു വാ ചോറ് വാരിത്തരാം. Can you please give me one mouthful of rice? Can you please feed me one mouthful of rice?" And it felt really good. That's what he called us back and told. So at that point, we had previously decided to talk about some other subject during that hour. But that caller and his experience was very, very unpredictable, and we were not expecting it. But that was very moving. So suddenly we twisted and shifted the entire focus of the show to that. And we were discussing about the good old childhood days. We were discussing about how good it was, and maybe how we should actually do it once in a while. And trust me, we had a lot of listener interactions and people responding on how they miss being fed by their parents and sorts of. So being mindful to be able to take that decision to change the direction of the show and do this is was was the most important step I had to take there at that point. So that, or there lies the importance of mindfulness in my career. I mean, sorry, in my profession right now. Or also, it's not just about the callers. See, as a producer, it's like producer in a radio station is more like, director for a film. It's like, what do you say? You cannot imagine imagine actor Mohanlal doing the role of Tovino in Maya Nadi. It doesn't fit. Maybe Mohanlal has another way of, you know, uh, reproducing that role, but or recreating that role. Sorry, but imagine that you will never be able to be, getting that experience that you had from Tovino, or the other way around. Imagine Tovino doing Narasimham. I'm not, I mean, a big fan of that movie, but I love that movie. But imagine Tovino doing that. So nothing like Mohanlal doing it. So each person has a character, and in radio station we sell the RJ personality more than what happens in Ukraine or what happens in Palay market in Calicut. We sell the personality. So it is extremely important to be mindful enough to understand your RJ and the RJ personality, so that you know what and how to mold the RJ. So there will be situations where the RJ is tensed or panicking, or the RJ is doubtful or intimidated about a topic, whether he or she wants to speak about it, or how the listener would take it, or I'm not ready yet. But it's my job as a producer to actually encourage or mold the personality in such a way that he feels confident and comfortable to speak about what we have discussed. So to understand that point, to understand that frequency where the RJ is feeling what do you say, or less confident or less panic, that is another aspect of mindfulness that we need to develop to do the job of a producer, speaking about radio. And it's not it like when you look from outside, it's always It's always a Christmassy feel when you turn on the radio. It's all happiness and it's all positive things. Yes, and that is a very conscious product. We try to maintain. Obviously there are people who actually might not make you always feel comfortable or happy. There will be people who push your limits. There will be people who place their temper tantrums on you. But at the end of the day, as a radio station, as our Radio Mango brand policy, what we try to do is we try to make our office a happy place to be, like a second home, so that the happiness and the vibe is reflected on the shows also. But keeping that apart, the what you hear, the end product is a happy RJ talking about happy things. But there are also very sensitive, very important, very what do you say, very sensitive things that happens behind the RJ talk, which is, see, for instance, just 2 days back, we had a caller. Uh, Calicut is a very Muslim dominated place. And we had a caller who runs a uh, restaurant based on uh, pork. So he was introducing himself as a pork restaurant owner, and he was naming the restaurant name as well. And the question we asked was nothing related to the restaurant or him. The question we asked to the listeners was something related to wedding invitations, or how would you like to invite your loved ones for your wedding, something sort of that. So obviously, as a brand policy, the thing that many common men doesn't know is that newspaper has a style book, but radio also has a style book, an unwritten style book. We have a set of hundreds of rules, hundreds of things, politically incorrect, religious oriented, words that we should not use, thoughts that we should not share. We have thousands of restrictions and rules behind every decision we take to talk about. So we gave this listener bite on air, and we he answered our question on how he wants to invite his friends on a wedding day. But we deliberately and intentionally deleted the portion where he said the name of his restaurant, because that would be like doing free branding, which any media industry is not supposed to be doing, because we have another section, advertisement, and we should not be using like brand names like Pepsi, or be it if there's a hotel here, Paragon. We won't be using the name Paragon Hotel in any of our shows, because that will be like branding. Unless that person has given an advertisement, we are not supposed to use the word. So this person calls back and asks us this question: you have deleted the bite where I said I own a pork restaurant. Have you done that because it is pork? So that question is a very sensitive, very important, significant question, which is actually related to have religious significance and political in overtones to it. So when things like that happen, behind the happy talks from the RJs and the videos and the RJ links, it is extremely important for the RJ and the producer behind the phone to deal with such people in a very mindful, careful, and very sensible fashion. Otherwise, one wrong answer, one reply without thinking would actually spark a, what do you say, forest fire. So dealing with, like they say, customer is king, listener is king in a radio station. Dealing with listeners, dealing with what do you say, our guest, when you take celebrity guest, dealing with the colleagues mindfully every single day, every single minute you are on air, is like the basic of doing my job. So I think it is sharp 11 o'clock. I've been asked to speak for, give you a 1 hour session. I much wouldn't like to call it a session. I was just happy to share what I have garnered or gathered in my journey as a journalist, as a content writer, as a radio broadcaster. And I think at least one person among, I don't know how many people are watching, but I believe at least one person among you must have, benefited out of it. Then I would be really happy. Yes. So thank you. Now you can ask me if you have any questions, or we can wind the session, I think.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a one question.
Sure. Can I know your name and can I see your face? I can just see a hand.
Okay, ma'am. Just a second.
Yeah. Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi.
Uh,
Hi. May I
I'm
know
Suraj
the
Agarwal.
name of
I'm
Hi
Suraj.
Suraj. How
Uh,
are you, Suraj?
Ma'am, fine. And I'm a psychologist teacher also. I'm doing my
Oh,
PhD
hi.
in psychology. So
Nice
it
to meet
was
you.
literally a very amazing seminar, first of all. It was literally
Thank
very
you. Thank
amazing.
you.
And
Thank
meeting you was really very fab.
you. Oh, I think there is a technical glitch at the I don't
Ma'am,
know.
I just had means within your session, I just had just one query. Like you said that
Sure, sure.
when you were driving with your parents to the uh, for
Yeah.
to drop them, you said that
Yeah.
to make the environment light, you had just crack a joke over there to make the environment
Yeah.
light. And
Yeah.
let me to say my personal experience. Like
Yeah.
when I tried the same thing, I was bashed by my colleagues.
Okay. So you have to learn to say, I mean, what to say, you have to learn, but more important, you have to learn when to say and who you're talking to. Because I know my
Definitely.
parents for 29 years, I know them. So I know that is the right thing to say there. So I think that is a key factor.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, and one more thing which you said about mindfulness.
Yeah.
Can it be like we can practice or it's the perfection of speech we can say, like when to speak, when to say, what to say, which you have said in the radio jockey, as you said, like some news have emerged and the saying the same news, it won't be benefited. So the technique of speech will help
Yeah.
us in mindfulness.
No. It's the other way around. Mindfulness will help you in the technique of speech. See,
Okay.
imagine you're talking about a very vibrant, happy, positive thing. I'm talking about, see, now in Kerala, in Calicut, Kerala in general, it's a season of mangoes, I mean, you should try the mango chutney Kerala style. It's a very delicious dish. Okay. So imagine we are talking about the mango chutney we have with rice, and the streets are all full of, green color mangoes everywhere, taking us back to our childhood memories and everything. Very vibrant. Okay. Suddenly in the TV, maybe a demise of a star or a sad news, which is like an inevitable thing that you need to say. So that transition and the quick, decision that you have to take, that you have to talk about it, but how to talk about it, and how to talk about in a way which is not depressing, because Radio Mango has this brand policy of spreading out happiness and positivity, just that, nothing else. So a sad demise news, but in a very positive way, or in a happy manner. How can you say that while you are actually vibing in a very positive frequency talking about the mangoes? So that is where you need mindfulness. I think I answered your query.
Yes, ma'am. And just last one more query. Like you
Sure,
said that
sure.
there are many, like you said that when you are distressed or some unexpected circumstances happens, then you lie on the ground and with the help of the breeze of the air, you control your emotions at that time. So
I'll give you an
actually,
example. Okay.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
give you an
Actually, we
example.
also had something like that. Like when we are very angry or frustrated or something, some uncertain events happens, then what we do is like we stop over there. First, we count from 10 to 1, again the
Yes,
backward side, and then
you
we
can count
ease,
it back. Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it ease,
That
and
is
then it
also
will
very
help us
effective.
means because in when we are very angry, at that time, if we say something, it will more kindle that thing. So
Okay.
we just stop, we just control our emotions and think what should we do and what should not. And then we do complete our procedure first.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Suraj, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll give you an example, Suraj. Suppose, Suraj, you have a crush on a girl. Okay. And you try to send her a friend's request in Instagram. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And she declines it. And you're very sad. Okay. You need for a walk. And then just breathe in and breathe out and see, okay, what should I do next? I really love her. What is the next thing that I should do to make her feel that? Okay. Suppose a week later, you see the pictures of her, wedding photography. She's actually getting hitched. Okay, then you're heartbroken. You really need, you really need to take care of yourself. Then, if it is that, bad, you just lie on the ground. Then you do the technique that I said. I think it should work out.
Ma'am, I'll definitely try. If such events happen, then.
I wish nothing of that sort happened to you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you for your question. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, so much. And thank you, Mr. Suraj, for that lively chat. Ma'am, there is another question from Ushasri Bhala, ma'am.
Okay.
She's asking, ma'am, can we say mindfulness is doing something with conscious mind?
Mindfulness is doing something with conscious mind. I would actually put it this way: mindfulness is actually doing nothing. See, first to understand. See, if you are a starter and if you're hearing this word for the first time, I think that to be, mindful, I mean, to learn about it, just spend 5 minutes doing nothing. You shouldn't touch your phone, no pen, paper, nothing. Just sit simply, watch your breath, and see how you inhale and exhale, and watch your thoughts. Just observe where your mind, sorry, your mind will wander from the auto you got into yesterday, or the your colleague or your ex-boyfriend or your dish you had in the morning. Your mind will go like a monkey in a zoo. Just peacefully observe where all it's going. Just stay there, watch your mind, observe, and watch your breath. That's how you can actually learn the basics of mindfulness. And once you start practicing this on a daily basis, like you just need 5 minutes for this. You don't even need another extra minute to start with. Once you do this, you will eventually, naturally, you don't need to do anything. You will naturally learn to practice or do mindfulness in everything you do. See, that's how it works. When you write something, you'll become mindful. When you do a job, you'll become mindful. When you go for a walk, you'll become mindful. So you can actually practice mindful in whatever you're doing, but not by being conscious. The opposite of that. By not being conscious of everything, just letting yourself go freely and being completely observant of how you feel inside you and how you feel about the things around you. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for that explanation, detailed explanation. There is yet another question.
Sure.
Today's generation, when considering today's generation, kids are really hyperactive nowadays. Almost mostly on phone or games and all that. So does mindfulness work for them?
It's a debatable. Yeah.
Well, the question is will mindfulness work for them? Hyperactive kids.
Does pardon? I didn't get that question. First of all,
Does mindfulness work for this hyperactive kids?
Okay, mindfulness works out perfectly well for any human being, no matter age, no matter generation, no matter nothing. And it is absolutely wrong to say that today's kids are hyperactive, because I believe that today's kids are super, conscious and super intelligent about everything. See, if I came to know about mindfulness at the age of 25, if you ask a 10-year or 15-year girl, maybe she would know about it. And we are completely reading them wrong because they have access to a lot of it's like information overload everywhere. Today's generation is more of more sensible about all of this. So even though they are hyperactive or even though they are into many games, excuse me excuse me even though they might be into a lot of activities, I don't think that we should sum them up into the word hyperactive. But yes, it works out perfectly well for any person, no matter age or generation.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for that answer. Same experience with me, ma'am. When I'm in classroom, when I have this, I'm not a technical survey. When I'm in the classroom, I don't know when the PowerPoint presentation projector, everything comes together. Like I tend to be so confused. Students come to me, ma'am, let me deal with it.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, students have that, consoling nature. Yes, ma'am, you're very true with that words.
You are lucky to have that kind of students. But since you said about this, I would actually like to I mean, it would be very wrong of me to not mention about this, because the person I am today, a big part of that was molded or sculpted by the teachers who taught me in my school, my college, and the teachers. I mean, the people who have turned out to be teachers in my life. They are not teacher as professions. So two of them that I want to talk about is one Dr. Supriya and one Dr. Radhika. She shares my same name, and they are teachers of Fatima Mada National College, Kollam. So when you talked about mindfulness, I actually missed to talk about them. So teaching uh, these days, I'm not talking about in general, but teaching people take teaching to be, teaching is everything but teaching. Actually, I believe a teacher should not teach anything. A good teacher actually would only teach the student how to look. The teacher will not teach the student you should look at that particular thing. The teacher would just tell them, see, if you there is a place that this is how you look at it. So that's what a good teacher does, I believe. So I had these two teachers way back, many years back. They were very mindful about every student in the class, including me. So when I was feeling down or when I was going through a bad scenario, I remember this Dr. Supriya and Dr. Radhika ma'am and Supriya ma'am were in what do I say? Were immensely mindful and sensible. They would call me or any person for that matter, and they would actually keep us aside and ask, "What is wrong? Do you want to talk to me?" That kind of connection was there between the teacher and the student at that point during my degree days. Also, they to that point they had practiced mindfulness and understanding that, see, I was a habitual latecomer during my college days and to some point now also. So when I used to come late, I used to, like every student, I used to think, okay, what story should I tell today? Okay, should I tell that I lost the keys to my room? Or so I come to this teacher, to Supriya ma'am, and I would start telling her, okay, ma'am, I'm sorry I'm late, but you know what happened? The keys to my room lost. Before I complete that sentence, I would say, ma'am, I cannot look into your eyes and say a lie. Ma'am, I woke up late. I'm sorry. That is a kind that is a kind of relation that we had with our teachers. I mean, especially two of them.
हाँ? अच्छा बैठ रहे क्या अच्छा हाँ?
Pardon?
Pramod sir, can you mute yourself?
Let me mute all. 1 minute. You can unmute yourself and speak, ma'am. Divya.
Yes, ma'am. Radhika ma'am is there. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am, for the awesome and insightful talk on mindfulness. Actually, takeaways are many from the session, and they are really priceless.
नहीं नहीं
The
उसमें
many
क्या होता है
takeaways
backward
in
रहेगा
this
सर तो
session,
walk करने
especially from
बिल्कुल
the real life experience that
वो
we
इधर
get.
से ही लेके जाने का काय का आउट लगेगा अब अपने घर में दरवाजा नहीं तो उनके लिए क्या दरवाजा खोलेंगे
1 minute, ma'am.
मेरे तो मन
Pramod
नहीं
sir?
इधर से ही लेके जाने का
1 minute.
Yes, ma'am. Now, okay. Okay, we have Radhika ma'am. Actually, we have a lot more appreciations and applauses in the chat boxes. I don't know how to confirm all because many applauses has been in the chat box because rather than listening to a conceptual hearing, it's like all the real life sessions, real life experiences related to ma'am's profession has really moved us. Many takeaways from the session. Thank you, ma'am, so much. Feedback link is posted in the chat box in the Meet and YouTube live stream also. I request all the participants to kindly fill the feedback form. It will be open till 2 p.m. Now, I don't think we have any more queries. Now, I invite Ms. Reshma R., Assistant Professor, Basic Science and Humanities Department, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Divya. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Radhika ma'am, first of all, let me say my heartfelt thanks to you for this very informative, fruitful session. Actually, when we heard about this mindfulness, definitely nothing was coming onto our mind. What is that, the feeling when you feel that what is mindful? Is that what, whatever that is, whatever you have, you are satisfied with it and you don't want to get anything. But after you shared your experiences, each and every experience, yes, these are the experiences that we experience in our day-to-day life, but we never care for it. But even though this very small experience that in your childhood experiences, I think that already it has gave an imprint on our mind that whatever be the matter, the very, very small specific things that instill in our mind, that keeps your mind full. That means we just think that yes, we have completed our work and done everything. Yes, we are actually mindful, but that is just a very superficial feeling that we are mindful. But actually in our mind, we do feel that there is a long things which is being there to feel. As if you are, as a teacher, I think we have to do this everything. We have to be mindful in a different way, and those very small experiences that you gave, that is something really very heart touching, ma'am, and I think it would have really created a very positive feedback among all our dignitaries and all the participants, giving them a very small tips where they can implement onto their day-to-day life. Even though the experiences, as you told, ma'am, the kids now are very becoming very heuristic, and definitely they know a lot of things more than us. So definitely keeping into that mind, actually the students, the younger kids are being mindful in a very better way than what we are feeling. We look onto that a very orthodox type being of mindful. So I think we have to look onto a different way of things. So thank you, ma'am, once again for giving us such a very fruitful session on this mindfulness. I, on behalf of SEMS management, take this opportunity to express my sincere and heartfelt gratitude for this such a motivational, inspirational, and really a very exuberant talk, ma'am. On behalf of Basic Science and Humanities Department, SEMS School of Engineering, we present a small token of gratitude to you, ma'am, for your sincerely appreciation and the time you had taken this for this talk. Thank you, ma'am, once again for the very informative session.
Thank you, Divya. Thank you so much.
We're really honored.
Pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for attending, and it was pleasure. And thank you. Have a good day, all of you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Same to you. Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, tomorrow we have the 5th day of our 5-day International Online FTP, and the session is being taken by Father Sebinjay on the topic digital leadership. Kindly join 15 minutes before the meet. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Thank you. Thank you all.